running for the city marshal's race. You may have seen him in different forums that have taken place across Lafayette. Of course, the election is November 4th, which is a Tuesday. On Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, October 21st through October 28th, early voting. Early voting, you can take part in that if you don't want to wait in lines on November 4th. But please do get out there and vote. It's your voice that must be heard, and you have to take part in the process. Um, I was going to say, there's been 10 marshals in the history of this, doing my research, 10 marshals in the history of Lafayette. You seek to become the 11th. Um, so uh, you're a lifelong resident here. You have the criminal justice background, uh, and you know the individuals you are running against. What are some of the issues with the current office holder? What would you say are the top, let's say, two or three issues you would say that perhaps he can improve on or should have improved on during his tenure? Because he's been in office an extremely long time.
Let me just say this for our present city marshal. The gentleman has done a great job for the time that he has served. However, it's just as a typical thing if I would say I have a new car outside. 2 years from now, it's not new. We need another car. They make new cars every year. So I am saying if you need new cars every year, I think people need to change with
With the
time.
time.
Yes, sir. We educate ourselves to improve, to go on. I'm going to mention some things
Okay.
that the public, they're not calling in action, but I will give them some information that maybe that would interest them. For instance, I said earlier that it's no great pressure to be a city marshal, but there are certain things that we must do, and I'd like to mention a few of those
Okay,
things.
you may.
I spoke about a committee. That committee will be of maybe two or three personnel that is qualified in management, finances, etc. They will assist me in streamlining activities and reviewing the present expenditures that is in place now. We will have to determine the value of that expenditure to the community and to the city marshal in providing that service. So we're going to find out about that. And they're going to determine how close am I to eliminate, or removing that and not having to spend on that. The next thing is I'm going to raise the standard of this office by affording deputies the opportunity to educate themselves. Education and professional development. Everyone feels good about themselves if they feel good about the office. When they know what is the performance of it, they know the future, they know where it's going. It doesn't have to be happening now, but it helped that individual feel good about himself, herself, and the department that she or he is working for. So
Professional development, great.
It-
That's
it-
always good
yes,
to
sir.
have.
Yes,
and
sir.
to beef up.
It's one of the greatest things that I think should be done. Such as criminal justice degree. That's not to be city marshal. I got that years ago. That was just something I wanted to know to be able to perform for the citizens. I wanted to be able to tell them what was the best way of doing things.
So implementation of
Implementation and
incentives
Yes,
to
sir.
improve themselves.
Yes, sir.
Oh, definitely.
Very much so.
A well-educated marshal force.
Marshal forces would do that. In addition to that, we spoke earlier about payment of fines. I would like to have my attorneys review the possibilities of being able to pay a fine. You know, it does not make any possible sense, I think, into have an individual with a $4,000 job offshore come to court. He or she may not, he just may not have $1,000 on him at the time. Fines nowadays do cost 1,000, maybe
Very high.
500. Well, I feel if they can pay the judge $50 that they have on them and promise that every payday to make another payment of certain amount of money and until paid, well, that is much better than trying to get this person arrested,
Exactly.
losing that job,
Bankrupting the family.
that's right,
Yep.
not being able to feed your family. You're not going to get that money anyway.
No.
Well, why crowd our jails
Yeah.
with this person?
That was going to be
That's
my
not-
next point.
That's
Exactly.
not sensible.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're #1 in the world in incarceration per
Incarceration.
capita. Yeah,
Yes.
so I mean, why, you're right. Setting up a situation where you get a repayment, a reasonable repayment without breaking the family
Yes.
for these misdemeanors and minor felonies certainly would seem, a viable option and a sensible option.
That's right.
So no doubt about that.
And I see that this person, they're not going to pay the fine. They cannot pay if they are incarcerated.
Exactly.
And while incarceration, they have a cost to us.
That's right there.
So it's not a thing that is in good
No, it's
for
not
a
a
leader
good policy.
to do.
Hey,
No, sir. That's what makes good leadership. Being able to not just look at this problem, bam. No, you have to look at all the ramifications about that problem. What is it going to do? It got there. It's costing this. Well, why? And what we can do to eliminate it?
Definitely.
But it takes, education don't make you anything, but it gives you the tools you need to help you make that decision. Those type of decisions is what it does for you.
Do you think the current budget that the marshals have, the allocations are on target?
I don't have the total figure,
Okay.
but I can tell you just by me knowing the experience that I have and the knowledge I have, I will tell you, the first year in office, if I fail to save the taxpayers' money, I'm willing to just sign the contract and go back my house. Because I can tell you, I see things that it's not necessary, it has no value, and it's costing quite a bit of money. Yes, sir. But I don't know the exact figure.
Okay.
But I do, and I'm willing to tell you, if I get the office, within 1 year, we're gonna eliminate those, because they have no value.
Okay.
And it's a savings to the taxpayers.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
All right. Great. Again, our visit tonight with J.B. Cormier, lifelong resident of Lafayette, 366-8951, 366-8951 for your questions and comments. Now, you believe, and the people I talk to is about 50-50 on this, and that is term limitations. A lot of people would say, well, we the voter, we limit them with our vote, but then we see some other issues with individuals from the national stage to the state, locally, with long tenures, and that's been an active debate for some years. So
Yes.
tell us about your viewpoint on that term limitation.
I have never sat in on a review of them. However, in just observing these reasonings, I believed in them. Number one, I say, too long, you get to have too many friends or too many favors, and you're not doing the job. The other hand, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but I am of the age right now that if I'm willing to work, I need to work now. 10 years from now, They may look at me and say, oh, you can continue to do the job. I know I will not be able to. Because as I grow, I am being limited by the good Lord in what I can and cannot achieve. I have a limit, and a person should know their limits. So I say, limitation? Yes, sir.
Okay.
I believe it.
And a lot of people feel that way. Of course, with judges, that's been a debate, and of course, that's been a ballot initiative. That's 70 is the age that typically is floated around.
Yes.
So that's going to be ongoing. Let's talk about one big race, and you've been a lifelong resident, and someone with greater political acumen than myself. I'm a transplant to this area. But as Mary Landrieu running against Bill Cassidy, that affects the entire state.
Yes.
And we were talking about a large African-American turnout, and of course that's what the Landrieu campaign is hoping for. Traditionally, African-Americans have supported her. Bill Cassidy has went from, at one point appearing to be at least a moderate sort. Now he's a Tea Party right-winger sort. So he swings with the wind apparently, but I'll let the public make that judgment. But what do you think about this race? I hear several talk show hosts, they saying that Mary's a goner. Others say it's going to go right down to the wire. And it does look extremely close. I think personally she's going to eke it out, but a lot of people are thinking that, she's basically a goner. What do you think?
I don't believe she's a goner. However, I would tell her to be very careful and pull out all stops. You're right in saying that she has a lot riding on the African American vote, the minority vote. Let's put it that way, rather than say the African American, because it's not just them. It's also the Hispanic,
That's right.
The Orientals,
Yeah.
various race that plays a part in this. Mainly because one thing I'd like to say that I think is important for people to look at when they're saying these things, it's the party. I'm not a party person. I believe in an individual. I'll vote Republican, no party, Democrat. I am a Democratic elected representative for the state. But that does not mean that I'm going to go out and pull a lever against what I believe because this person is a Democrat. No way. But one thing you must understand that I think it should be understood. The Democratic Party tendency has it that they have been the giving for the minorities, the poor, the least economic force, not just the minority. The Democratic Party is the party of the working people. The Republican Party is the party of the leaders, per se, the owners of the company, the one who don't want to give you a raise.
Corporate America.
Corporate America, they don't care about if you get hurt. We're not going to be worried about that. That's generally the thing that comes out. So as a result, when you put Landrieu and Cassidy next to each other, that's what you have. You have the working people saying, she ain't did so bad. She hasn't done anything bad. She speaks for us. When you talk about him, he's talking about 65 people can barely make it now. To Medicare 65, he want to move it to 70. Well, you'll be dead. I mean,
that is right. So many people don't get that.
That's right.
It's about a third of the people get that I talk to. Yeah, exactly. They keep moving it up and up. Exactly.
That's right.
You'll be dead. You won't get
and the terrible thing about it, and that goes all work hand in hand with that question of whether you want to continue to let a person politic that long in one position. Goes all the way with that.
Yeah.
Money. I mean, and I think that's what